Hello everyone, this is Melissa, teaching artist and art therapist with Project Create. Project Create is a nonprofit organization located in Washington, D.C., providing free art education and art enrichment classes to children, youth, and families. So hello everyone again, coming to you from my home today. Today we are going to be doing a wonderful art project that's wonderful to do with the whole family. We are going to be learning about how to make a basic accordion book, and then from there we're going to use the book to explore different family memories. So in order to do this art activity, there are a couple of art supplies that you will need. You will need some paper. If you have any paper that's a little bit thicker or heavier, that works really well, but if you don't, just standard paper is fine, and this is just the standard letter size. You will also need 2 pieces of cardboard, and I will talk to you about the size of this a little bit later, but you can get cardboard maybe from a package that you've had delivered, maybe a cereal box or some other kind of box that you might have in your household. So you're going to need that, and we can cut that down. And then finally, you're going to need a couple of colorful pieces of paper. These were 2 that I had on hand. You can use things like wrapping paper or tissue paper. You can also use magazine images, like a larger magazine image. So you'll need that as well, and I will tell you about the size later on. Some other supplies that are going to be important today. You need a pair of scissors, and you're also going to need some glue. If you have a glue stick would work really well. I have this Craft Bond glue, and then if you have a little bit of Elmer's glue, that might be helpful as well. We're going to be working with magazines today, so if you have a stack of magazines on hand, you can use those. If you're not really into doing collages, you can also do drawings. So if you have anything like markers, colored pencils, colorful pens, all of those you can use in this project as well. So to start off with our accordion book, you're going to need these 2 sheets of paper, which will be the pages for the book. So the first thing you want to do is you want to fold the paper in half. And the way I do that, so that I really line it up and I get even papers, is I use one of my hands to hold one side, and I use the other hand to push the other side of the paper together like that. And when it's like all even right here on the edge, I hold it down, and then I take one hand and I roll it back like this. And once I've rolled it back, I go all the way back and up and down and up and down. Sometimes I take the side of my thumb to make a really good crease. You're going to open that up, and you're going to go the other opposite direction, and you're going to do a crease. So again, we folded it one way, and then we turn it upside down and we folded it the other way. So you have a really good solid crease. You're going to do that the same technique using your other paper. Fold it in half, hold the edge down, take the other hand, roll back, and then crease. Use your thumb, crease. Open, turn it over, and a fold in the other direction. So we've just made a really, really good crease. So the next part is we're going to take our scissors and we're just going to cut along the crease line. Basically, cutting the paper in half. So take your time, go along the crease line. Okay. So I'm only going to do work with 3 of these. You can work with 4 if you want to. It really depends how big you want your book to be, but I find that 3 is plenty big for me. So we're going to now do a series of folds with these papers. So taking one, you're going to fold it in half. Again, we're going to line up the 2 ends of the paper. One hand will hold it down and the other will roll back and then crease. Now what you're going to do is you are going to make a mountain with this one. See the mountain on the top and then going down? And now you're going to squash the mountain. After you squash the mountain, you'll notice that you have a pretty big crease right in the middle of this paper. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take one end and we're going to fold it right along that middle crease line. So again, using that same technique, using one hand holding down, taking the other, rolling back, and crease. You really want to have good creases. Okay? Then we're going to do the same thing, but on the other side. We're going to take this one and line it up to that middle crease line. Hold it down, roll back, and crease. So, if you did it right, you should, if you can look down here, you should have the letter W. Maybe you can see the letter W. Or if you turn it upside down, or the other way, you can have the letter M. Okay? So you've completed your first page of the accordion book. Now we have to do it the same steps with the other 2 pages. So can you remember? Let's see. First step, take one paper, fold it in half, line it up, roll it back, crease. Now, mountain, squash the mountain. See the crease in the middle. Take one side of the paper, line it up to the crease in the middle, hold it down, roll back, crease. Now what? You got it. Other side. Line it up, hold it down, roll back, and crease. So I have my letter W or my letter M. That means I did it right. And the line is up here. Now we have one more to do. Take your last paper, fold it in half, hold it down, roll back, crease. Use your thumb if you need to. Mountain top, squash your mountain, crease in the middle. Take one edge, put it in the middle, hold it down, crease. Other side, line it up in the middle, roll back, and crease. Great, you did great. So now we have our 3 pages for our accordion book. And we will now be gluing our pages together. So to set this up so we know how to glue it, what you need to spell is M, W, M, or W, M, W. So a real accordion is an instrument that goes back and forth like this. We are going to glue these pages together like this so that our book would go back and forth like this, just similar in movement to the accordion instrument. Okay, so we're going to glue this to this, this to this. And sometimes what I like to do to help me is take something to write with so that I don't forget. And I'll mark like a little X here and a little X here. And I know that the 2 X's go together. And a little X here and a little X here. So I know these 2 X's go together. So I think we're ready to glue. Again, if you have a glue stick, that works great. What I have is very similar to a glue stick. So the best way to glue is a technique I called the sun technique. And this will make sure that we've covered the whole page with glue so the pages will stay together for a long period of time and air bubbles won't get trapped. So I like to start in the middle of the page, and I think of the sun as like a ball. So I make a little ball and I make it a little bit bigger. And then I go from the center out to the edges. And I think of these like sun rays. So I'm making little sun rays, sun rays, sun rays, sun rays, going all around the paper. So I've covered the whole paper. And I can even tell with this glue where I've missed some areas. So I'm just being super thorough. And once I've done that, there's my X, and there's my other X. Can you see? And I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to glue these 2 pages together. I'm going to make sure that the pages are lined up. You can see that I lined it up. And I'm going to make sure the sides are lined up. I'm going to flip it over and make sure it's lined up. It looks pretty good to me. So now I'm just going to go over it with my hand. I can go over it with my thumb and make sure I get out any air pockets or any air bubbles. I want the book to last for a long time. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing with the other pages. We have our 2 X's, so I know they go together. I'm going to get my glue. I'm going to make a little ball like the center of the sun. And then I'm going to go out to the edges, and I'm thinking about sun rays. Sun ray, sun ray, sun ray. Covering the page. And I'm looking for any areas that I kind of missed. I want to really cover it well. So it's time to line it up. So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to line up the edges. Turn it over. Line up the edges. And smooth it out. Take my thumb. Get out all the air bubbles. Now, look at that. We have our accordion book pages. Okay, so now every book has a front cover and a back cover. We're going to make the front cover and the back cover. And I mentioned earlier that you were going to use some cardboard. So you want to cut out rectangles of cardboard, but you want it to be just a little bit bigger than your page. And this one's just a little bit bigger. And so that works fine. Even if it's a little bit bigger than that, that's fine. That will give the book some support. It will protect the pages and the contents inside the pages, because we're going to be adding some things to the pages like collage, magazine pictures. And I had also mentioned that you need some other paper, because this is kind of plain to me and I want it to make it a little more interesting. So we're going to cover the pages with I have some really pretty paper here, but like I mentioned, you can use maybe a larger picture from a magazine. You could use wrapping paper or tissue paper, or, of course you could just draw or paint something right on the cardboard if you'd like. You can personalize it like that. That's up to you. So I'm going to show you how you would glue on if you use paper. So the first thing you want to do is you take one of the ends, and again you do the sun method, make the ball, round little ball, and then the sun rays that go all the way around. I'm getting all the edges here. And you are going to center it. Turn it over, smooth it out. Use your thumb to get out the air bubbles. Turn it back over. Now the next part is we are going to cover the corners here, like this. So you can start, you just take the corner and you go over the corner like that. And I like just to go around and make some little creases, making little triangles there in the corner there. And it's covering these corners, the cardboard. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little glue on the corners of the paper. And I'm going to glue it on top there. And I'm really pushing down so that the glue will stick. The paper to the paper, and the paper to the glue, and the glue to the cardboard. The next part is we're going to take the edges and go over like this. And so I start just by trying to get a little crease, and then I take some glue. I go over like that. This side is coming off, so I think it needs a little more glue. I'm doing the same thing to the other edge, making a little crease, opening it back up. More glue, fold it over. Then I'm going to do the two other ends, same idea. You might find that sometimes the paper is a little bit stubborn and it keeps popping up. I just encourage you to push it down a little bit, and it may just need a minute to dry. This paper is a little bit thicker, than regular paper, so it just needs a little more reinforcement with my fingers. So there's one end. So we're going to do the same thing with the other end. Let's see if you remember. First thing is we glue one side of the cardboard. Centers all around. I'm going really quickly now. We take the paper, we center the cardboard on the paper. We turn it over. Get out any air bubbles. Flip it over. Now we do the corners. We make our creases. Put glue in the corners of the paper. And then we do the edges, crease. I'm having a similar problem. Some of the sides are coming off, but that's okay. I just have to hold them down with my fingers. And I'm pretty confident in a minute or two that glue will start to settle into the paper and into the cardboard, and that should work out fine. And there's the other end. So with an accordion book, it's difficult to know where's the front and where's the back. That's really up to you and how you design it. So we're going to go ahead and glue the front and the back covers onto the first and back page, last page of the book. So the very first page, again, you're going to use the same technique, the sun method. And you're going to try to glue it in the middle of the cover, which is going to help hold the paper down. That keeps coming up. There we go. You can kind of look on the other side to make sure you centered it okay. I'm pretty happy with that. I might move it a little bit. And I'm going over just to make sure I get all the air bubbles. Well, there's that side. Now we have the other side to do. And this is where you have an option. If you would like to have a way to close your book tightly, you might consider using a ribbon. This is a complete option. If you don't have ribbon or you're not really interested, not everybody wants to do that. But if you are interested, I'm going to show you how you can add a ribbon and a way to close your book. So we'll do the exact same thing that we did with the other side first, which is put glue on that page of the book, the last page. This is going to be the last page. And this time, we're going to add the ribbon. So I'm going to center it. You can put the ribbon wherever you like. Some people like to do it this way. I think I prefer this way today. And then we're going to add this last piece. And you'll want to open it up and just make sure that it's centered okay. And there we have the accordion book. So I had mentioned that this is a family activity, and the idea that I was thinking about is making a family book, a family accordion book of memories, of maybe favorite family memories that you've shared. And with this part of the activity, what you might consider is that every family member gets to have a page in the book and either draw or write about a favorite family memory. Of course, you can also use magazines and find pictures and images of things that remind you of favorite family memories. So I spent a little bit of time looking through magazines, and since I like collage, I decided to go with that, and I found pictures of things that reminded me of some very treasured family memories. So I have this picture right here of baking cookies, and that reminds me of a time of baking cookies with my mom when I was a little girl. So maybe you could take turns as a family choosing a picture that reminds you of a family memory and then gluing that down somewhere in the book. Maybe even one side of the paper you could write down what that memory is about. I found another picture of this little girl in the snow. And that reminds me of some really fun memories of making snow angels with my cousins and playing in the snow. I found another picture of a beautiful beach. And so I have lots of really wonderful memories of going to the beach with my family. And the wonderful thing is the book actually has two sides. So if you filled up pictures on this side, you can turn it over and there's other pictures and other pages where you can add pictures. So I have this other picture of a little girl sitting on a tree in a costume. That reminds me of Halloween and homemade costumes that my mother would make. And pictures of a cat. Reminds me of our favorite family cat. So I envision that this could be a really fun activity to do as a family, and after you've completed the book, each family member could talk about the picture that they value and that they treasure, and talk about the memory and tell the story of the memory. And then the book could be passed to another family member who chose that picture, and they could share their memory in the story. It would just be a really nice little memento for the family. So you might choose to do that. You can also think about how you want to decorate the outside of the book. Maybe work together as a family to give it a title. I found some really lovely words here that say, "Time easily escapes you, but special moments never do." And that just reminded me of the special moments I've shared with my family. And then I found some other little stars that I thought would be nice to add to give it a little sparkle. So I really hope you enjoyed this activity today, and you can do this with your family, and you can remember and celebrate the good times you've had together and shared together. I would love to hear about this project and what you thought about it, how it made you feel. I would love to see pictures, so if you would like to email me at programs@projectcreatedc.org, that is the best way. I look forward to seeing you all again. Please take care. Goodbye.